You know that feeling when you're just completely drained by the constant, toxic arguing online, or maybe just the daily news cycle in general? Yeah, you're definitely not alone. Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're taking a huge step back from the endless, exhausting noise of our digital age to look at something, honestly, pretty remarkable. We're going to dive into how a 2,500-year-old text, the Brahmajāla Sutta, actually offers a really profound, structured hack for de-escalating today's fiercely toxic debates. To get there, we'll map out a journey from our modern frustrations to an ancient, highly practical escape plan. We're going to cover the clash of truths, escaping the emotion trap, morality as peace infrastructure, the net of ideologies, and finally, strategies for modern peace. Let's get right into it. Starting off with Section 1, the clash of truths and our modern digital battlefield. Let's look at why our digital landscape feels like a constant, never-ending war zone. Think about the last time you were truly triggered online. It probably wasn't that long ago, right? The source material asks us to consider a fundamental question that I think we all feel deep down. Why exactly is our culture so fiercely angry and ideologically divided today? Why does every single conversation, whether it's about politics, pop culture, or even science, seem to escalate into an all-out war where literally no one ever concedes an inch? Well, the answer lies in what we're actually fighting over. In the past, what we call old conflicts were primarily fought over physical stuff, territory, borders, and how to distribute scarce resources. But today, the battlefield has totally shifted. We are fighting new conflicts. The research actually dubs this the clash of truths. We're battling over definitions of absolute reality, deeply held internal beliefs, and ideological superiority. Everyone basically believes their viewpoint isn't just an opinion, but the ultimate, undeniable reality of the universe. And when two absolute realities collide, boom, you get the intense, exhausting friction we feel in society every single day. Which brings us to Section 2, escaping the emotion trap and ensuring our psychological survival. To navigate this massive clash of truths without losing our minds, we really have to look inward. Thousands of years ago, the Buddha offered what is essentially a radical post-truth survival guide through what's called the principle of akkodha. He taught that you should not be angry, resentful, or upset when others criticize or speak ill of you because that will only become a danger to your own intellect. In other words, reacting to hate speech or harsh criticism with anger is literal self-sabotage. Why? Because anger completely blinds our ability to be rational and verify facts. It actually shuts down our critical thinking precisely in the moments when we need it the absolute most. But here's the catch. Achieving true mental equilibrium is actually a two-way street. Yes, managing anger when facing criticism means staying impartial, avoiding resentment, and rationally separating disinformation from hard facts. But, and this is absolutely crucial, it's equally important to manage our ego when people actively praise us. When we're surrounded by people who agree with us, we have to avoid complacency, prevent our egos from inflating, and just simply acknowledge the truth without letting it go to our heads. True equilibrium means setting aside emotional defense mechanisms entirely on both sides of the spectrum, relying instead on principled reason to engage with the world. Okay, moving to Section 3, morality as peace infrastructure. Now that we've learned how to manage our own emotional triggers, let's explore how individual balance scales up to protect the collective whole. What is truly fascinating here is how perfectly ancient Buddhist morality, known as sīla, maps directly onto modern sociology. Specifically, sociologist Johann Galting's theories of preventing violence. Look at how they align. Minor morality, which focuses on nonviolence and a healthy public conscience, directly prevents direct violence or physical harm. Then you have middle morality, which deals with economic justice and fair resource management. That prevents structural violence, like systemic inequality. Finally, great morality, advocating for intellectual freedom and anti-manipulation, prevents cultural violence, like dogma and brainwashing. So it shows that ancient morality wasn't just about personal purity, It was a structural, highly functional blueprint for preventing societal collapse. That sets us up for Section 4, the net of ideologies, and our modern psychological traps. Building on that infrastructure, let's investigate the specific snare that catches so many of us in modern discourse. The text introduces a concept called diṭṭhi, which basically translates to views, theories, or dogmas. Think of them as ancient ideological echo chambers. The Brahmajāla Sutta identifies 62 of these diṭṭhi and describes them as acting exactly like an inescapable fisherman's net. I want you to picture that for a second. A vast, tangled net thrown over humanity. This net traps us in continuous conflict by making us claim exclusive truth. If you firmly believe your political or social ideology is the single absolute reality, the source material argues that you are already caught in the net, thrashing around blindly just like a captured fish. So how exactly do we get caught in this net? Well, it happens through a rapid, 5-step psychological domino effect. Step 1 is contact. You experience something, maybe you read a highly controversial news article. Step 2 is feeling. That contact makes you feel a certain way, perhaps insecure, outraged, or fearful. Step 3 is craving. You desperately want that feeling to be validated as the absolute truth. Step 4 is clinging. You hold on to that view and adopt it as your core identity. And finally, step 5 is conflict and suffering. This domino effect reveals exactly how a simple, subjective experience transforms into absolute dogma, ultimately ending in war. We fight and we suffer simply because we cling to our feelings as facts. Operating as a totally impartial observer, the source highlights something absolutely crucial. Regardless of your political leaning, clinging to any absolute view makes you part of the problem. Both left-wing and right-wing ideologies fall right into the net of diṭṭhi. The right-leaning trap often involves eternalism or ultranationalism, clinging tightly to the past or a fixed identity. The left-leaning trap often involves annihilationism or materialism, a desire for boundless freedom that disregards deeper continuity. There's even an opportunist trap called eel-wriggling, which is basically dodging any moral stance whatsoever just to stay socially or politically safe. The net doesn't care about your politics, it only cares about your rigidity. Finally, let's look at Section 5, Strategies for Modern Peace and Executing the Escape. Now that we can clearly see the net all around us, how do we actually get out of it? The source text distills everything down into a set of highly practical strategies. First is view mapping. Instead of attacking an opponent's politics, analyze the deeper psychological roots, like fear or desire beneath them. Second is discourse therapy. Constantly prioritize fact over feeling and literally force yourself to pause before reacting to hate speech. Third is systemic awareness. Train yourself to view the net from the outside without getting emotionally hooked into the extremes. Together, this gives us the Tathagata model for leadership, named after the title for an enlightened one, or the Buddha. It's a strategy emphasizing fact over feeling, mapping out underlying human needs, and observing the net without getting caught in it. A true leader stands on the shore to carefully untangle the net, rather than fighting as a fish inside of it. So, I'll leave you with this final thought to ponder from today's explainer. Are you ready to step out of the net of your own views and see the code behind the conflict? Like, are you truly willing to dismantle your own comforting echo chamber to achieve real systemic peace? It all starts with managing our own internal reactions and recognizing that our absolute truths might just be fleeting feelings in disguise. Keep a cool head, use this blueprint, and go untangle those nets.